So tell me now about what's going on with Kari Lake.
Okay, our friend Kari Lake out in Arizona, she has lost for governor, but is she admitting that? No, she's not. And this was a big question going in because obviously she got asked a bunch of times going into election day, like, are you going to concede defeat if you lose? And the only thing she would ever say is, I'm not going to lose, so it's not going to be an issue, basically. Like, I won't have to concede defeat because I'm going to win. Well, that didn't happen. She lost, and now, lo and behold, she is not conceding defeat, and she's alleging all sorts of, voting irregularities and improprieties. She put out about a 2.5-minute video on Twitter. I'll read you an excerpt from it. She says, "Hey, Arizona, Kari Lake here. Wanted to reach out to let you know that I am still in this fight with you. For 2 years, I've been sounding the alarm about our broken election system here in Arizona. This past week has confirmed everything we've been saying. While we call for Katie Hobbs to recuse herself, over a year ago, they ridiculed us. It turns out we were right. The fox was guarding the henhouse, and because of that, voters have been disenfranchised when we raised concerns. And I filed a lawsuit months ago to get rid of the electronic voting machines. They said we were crazy." Then she talks about, the lines in Maricopa County. She gives some anecdotal, examples of one guy had to drive here and there, and ultimately he wasn't even sure his vote counted.
Contested, by the way. I'll get back to that. But
okay. And then sort of at the conclusion, or the part I guess that's most significant, is she says, "Rest assured, I have assembled the best and brightest legal team, and we are exploring every avenue to correct the many wrongs that have been done this past week. I'm doing everything in my power to right these wrongs. My resolve to fight for you is higher than ever." And oh, by the way, Kari Lake was spotted at Mar-a-Lago.
Okay, so first of all, the claim that they were making on election night is there's over 2-hour lines in Maricopa County. Mm-hmm. The Maricopa County Twitter account immediately responded and said the waits are less than 30 minutes. This is just factually not true. The other point is the right is harping away on this idea that Katie Hobbs has some say in how the elections run in Arizona, which is true. But what they're not telling you is that there are also 2 Republican officials, including the Republican governor, who have to sign off on what Katie Hobbs lays out. So the idea that she's running the elections and she's the only one in charge is just not accurate.
I've got another one for you too, which is that there were definitely issues in Maricopa County in terms of waits. There were waits, and I don't think the voters should have to endure long waits in order to cast their ballot. That is my position, regardless of whether it's predominantly Republicans or predominantly Democrats who are voting at that time. But Republicans did this to themselves when they told all of their own voters, don't vote early, show up on election day. And then, when there's a line because you've told your voters, all the mail-in ballots, that's fraud and it doesn't work and you got to show up just on election day. Then when there's an issue at a polling place, which is going to happen because there are, how many municipalities across the country and some things are going to go awry somewhere, then you're shit out of luck because you have banked in all of your voters showing up on that one day. So I have no sympathy for them ultimately. They've really done this to themselves. And, obviously, the fact that there were voting machines that were having issues, they had an alternative process. You put your ballot in this other box. They're still counted. It's not like this kept people from being able to vote, even though, again, I grant you, voters should not have to endure long lines. In an ideal system, this would work much more smoothly. But do I have any sympathy for them? No, I do not.
All right, so 53% of the Republican candidates who were running for office on election day were denying or questioning the results of the 2020 election still.
Yeah.
I am sincerely very thankful and happy that literally I think only one person in the entire country is questioning it now, Kari Lake. You can include Donald Trump, but he wasn't on the ballot in 2020, right?
Yep.
So, but there were a number going into it who were sort of hinting I am going to question it.
Yeah.
Mastriano, he was at January 6th. This guy is a legit extremist. He conceded. Blake Masters, he ended up conceding.
Yeah, he sort of toyed with it for a minute, and then he ultimately came around and conceded too.
So Kari Lake being the only one in the whole country, I'm actually breathing a sigh of relief because I genuinely thought, I actually agreed with Bill Maher on this, his whole if the Republicans win and more than half of them are doing the election denialism, we don't, they could just try to do everything they can in their power, and some of them get positions that directly control elections to try to change the result of elections. And by the way, on that point, you had all the candidates who were running for positions that do have direct control over elections.
Yeah.
The election deniers lost.
In the swing states.
Or maybe, exactly. So it's on the low end of the number of them that could get elected.
There are a lot of wackos that got elected at the in red states.
Right.
a lot of election deniers that will be running elections in red states, but at least
it's likely to go Republican anyway. So it's like, okay, you're not really stealing it.
I mean, I don't want to downplay that though, because even in red states, there are competitive congressional districts and competitive races and state house, state legislatures. So it does matter. But yes, I agree with you. Big sigh of relief that literally every one of the swing state Secretary of State and gubernatorial election deniers, they all lost.
Okay, but here's my question. What the hell is Kari Lake's endgame? I don't know what her endgame is.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be able to raise a stink enough to, like, have something happen and Katie Hobbs doesn't become the governor. Like, the process is going to continue no matter what you say or do. So what is your endgame? Are you just trying to virtue signal to Trump so he picks you for VP?
Okay, that is my theory. I don't know about picks you for VP, although, I mean, she was clearly his favorite candidate this cycle. He loves Kari Lake. He would talk about her all the time. Very, you know, it's exactly the type of person he'd be impressed with. Number one, she was all in on his election bullshit nonsense and completely unrepentant about it, wouldn't back down. He loves that. He loves that she's got that, like, TV presence and that on-screen, like, charisma and, you know, ability. And so she certainly has that going for her with him as well. So I think she was sort of like his favorite this time around, and he was definitely counting on her winning. I mean, I expected her to win in Arizona
I did
well.
too.
The polls,
I did too.
All the mainstream polls, right-wing polls, they all had her up leading into election day. It's a big miss for the pollsters in Arizona. But, you know, now that she's lost, I think it's hard to see her being a good pick for VP. But if she wants a slot in Trump world, I think he probably wants her to do this because it makes him look a little less bad if she really won in Arizona and they stole it from her versus every single one of my candidates, save for the guy in Nevada that he backed. He did win for the governor's race. All of his other gubernatorial picks, they all lost. So this would at least give him something to hang his hat on if she really won but was robbed. So I think he's pushing her to do this. And I mean, not that I think she needed a lot of pressure to go along with it.
Yeah, we're not going to get into our standard Trump-DeSantis debate, but, like, as we're talking about this, I just think, like, he's such a loser. Like, everything he's doing is just, like, tailor-made to become less popular. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like, Kari Lake, yeah, she's charismatic. She was on TV, but she's psychopathic, and she just lost. And, like, you think, like, yeah, I want this one in my inner circle. It's like, look, I got conspiracies. You want me to get into my conspiracies?
Go ahead.
Oh, have you seen some of the pictures coming out of Mar-a-Lago with these Trump groupie older women that are always around him?
No.
Well, let me tell you something. They're doing a little Mar-a-Lago. You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't.
You know what I'm saying?
Lay it out for me, babe.
Look, he is, let's just say him and Melania probably don't spend much time together at all.
Okay.
And Trump is dragging in all these MAGA groupies. And I wouldn't be surprised if Kari Lake is on the list, because Kari Lake said in a speech that my husband is my second favorite man on the planet. It's like, tell us you suck that mushroom dick without telling us you suck that mushroom dick. Like, go ahead, tell me.
Wow.
That's so gross to think about.
That's so crazy that she said that.
I know. But that's what I'm saying. Like,
I didn't know she said that.
If you saw the picture of these MAGA groupies, Krystal, you would be amazed. These women look like they exist to drain Trump's balls. Like, that's what they look like. That's their whole thing. They got all the fucking Botox and the collagen and the big lips and the...
Okay, so these are like wealthy, sort of middle-aged, Botoxed up, lots of plastic surgery. Is that what we're talking?
Yes.
In terms of the look?
Yes.
Okay.
There was a picture of them with, what's that guy's name? Stephen Miller?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Stephen Miller was at the announcement. He took a picture with these 3 Trump groupies.
I gotta look this up.
And I was just like, oh my God. I always see, there was a blonde in that picture who I always see with Trump. Just like, remember his spiritual advisor? Remember that one? His spiritual advisor who's like a relatively attractive older lady.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at that like, spiritual advisor? I don't know what you're doing.
There was a lot of speculation about that one. I can't find the picture. Yeah,
because remember, I mean, shit, we forget all the... Remember Karen McDougal? That whole thing? He had an affair with that Karen McDougal lady. So you don't even remember this affair. That's what I'm saying. Like, there was the Stormy Daniels one. Everybody knows about that. But the Karen McDougal one, people, that was actually a bigger story because he apparently gave campaign funds.
Did he?
Remember that?
Did he
Stephen
move on
Cohen.
her like a bitch?
He grabbed me by the pussy. I don't even wait. I grab him by the pussy. They let you do whatever you want. I didn't even wait. Just grab him.
All right. Anyway, I don't know about that aspect of the Kari Lake story. We'll let you all judge for yourselves on that piece. But
no, don't judge for yourself. I'm right. You're welcome.
But anyway, she's not backing down. She thinks that this was stolen from her, and so she's gonna keep going, I guess, like fruitlessly flailing around.
The only one in the country.
Yeah,
only
but
one.
I do think it's primarily for the benefit of Trump and her. She's decided she's all in with him, and so her ticket to whatever she's going to do next, now that she lost the governor's race, is going to be through him. So,
wasn't she a former Obama supporter too? Didn't she support Obama? And then she, the argument people make about her is that she's all
over that. She's just
she's just like, let me find my lane, and So
was she an Obama supporter?
You picked a weird lane though, Kari.
I don't know. I don't know.
You don't see it?
Mm-mm. Well, we'll get back to you on that one. In the meantime, we have a wonderful guest to talk to today about crypto, in particular the FTX breakdown. Maybe we could also ask him about Ticketmaster and Taylor Swift. It's been a big week for Matt Stoller and the whole antitrust and anti-financial fraud.
Swifties now have base politics.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like very eye-opening that even the largest star in the world can't possibly avoid this Ticketmaster monopoly in the way it screws over fans, venues, artists, and everyone in between. So maybe we'll ask him about that as well. But the primary reason we wanted to have him on is to get his take on Sam Bankman-Fried and all of the things crypto. So let's get right to it.
If you want to see me and Krystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Krystal, Kyle, and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.